Hello, and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Field Guide. Last week we did the tier list on quarterbacks, and this week we are doing it on running backs. So the tiers we have today are first pick potential. This is obviously exactly what it sounds like. Running backs you would consider taking with the first pick, or your first pick, depending on where you're falling. I would say top 5. This is pretty much the top 5 pick potential. Running back 1, you can get it in the first round, late first round, second. But they still have that good running back 1 potential. They can be your best running back, and that's not a bad thing. Running back 2, this is not as good as a running back 1, but still solid. This is more of those consistent guys, in my opinion, that will just give you about 10 points a game, all you need. And then you got the flex / the waiver wire. So with the flex, you can either put a wide receiver, running back, or tight end in there, in that position. And this is for me, this is either a high risk, high reward player, or someone you just pick up on the waiver wire, or if you have too many good options at one position, you can just put one in the flex and not have to worry about putting one on the bench. And the season long free agents, these running backs probably shouldn't be picked up that make this tier. In my opinion, they won't do much for you. So let's get right into it with Aaron Jones. He's solid. He averaged 15.1 points last year. And I think either him or Jamal Williams is going to be gone from the Packers this year. So if he goes somewhere else, he's going to put up a lot more points because he won't be sharing that backfield. Or if Jamal Williams goes somewhere else, he'll be having that backfield all to himself pretty much. So I'm going to put him in running back 1. I don't think he's up with the first pick. There's only not even a handful of guys up here. So we'll get to that. And Alvin Kumar is one of those guys. Last year he averaged 19.7, but towards the end of the year I don't think, had many games where he didn't put up 20 points. So especially if Drew Brees retires, which I think he will, they're going to be reliant heavily on Alvin Kamara, and he's shown time in, time out that he can be that top running back stud that you need. Austin Eckler. He averaged 11 last year. He was hurt. I think he's good. I'm going to put him in running back 1 with the potential of him moving down to running back 2, but he's just such a receiver threat, and he can run it. People usually just see him as that receiving back, but he's shown that he can run in between the tackles and get some yards doing that. Next up, we have Cam Akers. He really came on towards the end of the year last year. He was a rookie. He only averaged 7 last year, but he really came in towards the end of the year. I think he's a solid running back too. He's probably going to put up 10 points consistently. I mean, he's going to be the running back 1 in that offense. And they just got rid of Matt Stafford. Or they got Matt Stafford. Sorry. So he's going to spread the ball out more. I think Cam Akers is going to be really good receiving next year. I don't know about rushing, but I think he'll still get those fantasy points. Chris Carson. Chris Carson's an interesting one because he's a free agent. I do think he's going to come back to Seattle, though. He was good last year. He averaged 12.6. He was hurt for a lot of the year. I'm going to put him in this running back 2, but higher up. He's really good. He's a really good running back 2. It's not going to let me. There we go. Running back 2, and because any running back in that system is going to put up points. So you saw last year when Chris Carson got hurt, you had Rashad Penny get in there, Carlos Hyde. They all put up like 10 points a game. So if he returns, I think he's going to put up pretty similar to what he did this year, about 12 and a half. Christian McCaffrey is the second player going in the first pick potential. Potentially the best fantasy player of all time, in my opinion. Last year with limited snaps, he averaged 24.5 points a game. I think that was in like 3 games. So it's a small sample size, but the year before that, he put up one of the best fantasy football seasons of all time. He's just such a threat everywhere on the field, and he can catch it out of the backfield, he can run it, and he's going to get those touches because there's not much else on that Panthers team. And Teddy Bridgewater really likes dumping off to him, I think. So, Dalvin Cook, this might be one more guy. Dalvin Cook is also going to go in first pick potential. I don't think you should, but you could, and it would make sense. He averaged 21 last year. Really picked it up second half of the season. I mean, he had to be averaging like 25 a game in those in the later half. He averaged 21 total, and he was good in the first half, but he really picked it up in the second half. And that Vikings offense is just so reliant on him. I think there's a chance he falls off a little bit because Justin Jefferson's emergence. They might want to get him the ball more, but you still got to run the ball. And Dalvin Cook is pretty much the only running back on that team, so he's going to have another breakout year, and he's going to be really good. David Montgomery, he's another one of those guys that really picked it up towards the end of the year. I think they voted him playoffs MVP because he just, those last 3 or 4 games, he just went total berserk. He averaged 14.1 last year, but he picked it up again towards the later half of the year. And I think he's got running back one potential, especially on the Bears when they don't know who their quarterback is, so they're going to have to be reliant on that running back. And he's going to get a lot of touches and a lot of touchdowns. Even with Tariq Cohen coming back, who we'll get to later, but yeah. I mean, David Montgomery's the solidified starter on that team. And I think this is going to be the last first pick potential player. Derrick Henry. I mean, out of everybody that I'm going to list today, he's going to get the most carries. They just give it to him. Scores touchdowns. He averaged 19.6 last year, which is actually surprising. He doesn't have as much as the receiving ability as Christian McCaffrey or Alvin Kamara or even Austin Eckler. But, I mean, he's going to get the ball at least 20 times a game, and he's a beast. I mean, he ran for over 2,000 yards last year, and he just, you just can't stop him. You just really can't stop him. Going in the total opposite direction, next we have Frank Gore. This one's not too hard. Season-long free agents. I honestly thought he was going to retire after this year. But I think he's a free agent. I'm not entirely sure, but it doesn't really matter. He shouldn't be starting anywhere. And if he's your starter, I think they're going to draft one of these guys. So like Travis Etienne or Naji Harris. Yeah, season-long free agents. That one's not too hard. Myles Gaskin. He averaged 12.3 last year. I just don't see him as that back that you can just rely on all the time. He's gonna be the first one in the flex. He had a good year last year, but I've been seeing a lot of reports that the Dolphins are gonna draft a running back. Looks like they're not totally sold on Gaskin. He's good. I mean, he's a good speedster back. He can give you some big plays, but I don't know. I just don't trust him on that every down. I mean, if he's flex, I'm going to put Cam Akers down to flex because I think they're pretty similar types of fantasy players. Yeah, I like that. They can both catch the ball out of backfield. Antonio Gibson. He averaged 11.9 last year, but he's going to be the back in Washington. And they don't know who their quarterback is, so they're going to be much more reliant on him. So I think he's running back too. He's close down here, but I think he's just a little bit edging out these guys because he's just going to be reliant so much in that offense. And you can trust him to get the touches that he needs. And he's going to get a few touchdowns in there too. Yeah, they don't know who their quarterback is. They might have a rookie quarterback. So we'll see. We'll see what Antonio Gibson can do next year, but I think he's running back too. It's a good place for him. Jamal Williams. It's another one because you don't really know where he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be back with Green Bay. So wherever he goes, I could see him going to the Steelers, being really good, but they have to figure out some cap. I'm going to put him in flex / waiver wire, more towards that waiver wire. Just because you don't really know what he's going to be. I mean, you might as well draft him just in case because he's really good. But you've only seen him in limited snaps and limited carries. He can really catch the ball out of the backfield. I would rather have these guys than Williams. So I'm going to stick with that. James Conner. Definitely a disappointing year for James Conner last year. He only averaged 10, and he's a free agent. I mean, you've seen him be good before on that Pittsburgh team. Just last year, they hardly gave him the ball, and he still averaged 10. I'm going to put him... This might not make a lot of people happy, but I'm going to put him in running back 2. I think he's still good. And with the right team that actually wants to give him the ball, he could put up some real points. I guess we'll have to see, but I believe that he's going to be good. Get him in the mid rounds. Nobody else is probably going to be targeting him that much. James Robinson. This is running back 1. I mean, last year he averaged 14, almost 14 and a half, and he came out of nowhere. He was an undrafted free agent. A lot of people just picked him up off the waiver wire after a good week 1, and he just consistently put up 12 to 15 points a game, and that's exactly what like a running back 1 does for you. So they're going to draft Trevor Lawrence, and I don't think they're going to ask him to do too much. So they're going to rely on James Robinson heavy, and he's talented. He's really talented. So he's going to get those points. I'm going to put him in running back 1. J.K. Dobbins. This is a guy I thought was going to be really, really good last year, and he started off kind of slow, but he picked it up when Mark Ingram went out, and they really started focusing on that run heavy. He averaged 10 last year. I think he could average more than 10, so I'm going to put him... I'm going to put him in running back 1. I mean, that offense is just so run heavy that he's going to get his touches. Even if Lamar is running a bunch, he's going to be running a bunch too, especially with Mark Ingram being a free agent, Gus Edwards being a free agent. It's just he's the only one that's really there. So I think he's going to be running back 1. I'd put him right here. I don't think he's better than any of these guys, but I do think he has more upside than these guys. So I'm going to keep him in running back 1. Joe Mixon is going to go in running back 1. He didn't play a lot last year. He was hurt, dealing with some injuries, but he averaged 13. And I mean, it was just a couple of years ago, he was like top 5 in rushing. And with Joe Burrow, they're going to take some of the pressure off him, hopefully with Joe Mixon. And if he can get his injuries and things figured out, he's really good back. And he can do a little bit of catching out of the backfield. He's more of a runner, but he's really dynamic, and he can make that big play for you. And he's just really consistently putting up double-digit points for you, and that's what you need. Josh Jacobs, another running back 1. I think carries, there was a stat. It was like carries per game. He was up there with Derrick Henry. He's going to get those carries. For some reason, it seems like John Gruden doesn't trust Derek Carr much. Even though Derek Carr pretty much carried that team. But he averaged 13.2 last year. And he was hurt. I'm pretty sure he was hurt a little bit. I may be wrong. Maybe completely wrong on that. But he was consistent. He was never that big game guy. But he was consistently putting up 13, 14, 15 points a game. So that running back 1, it's not quite on the first pick where you can get those 20-point games consistently. But he's going to be good for you all the time. Kenyon Drake, another free agent. There's not a lot of places besides Arizona that I could see him being a consistent Every down back. He's good. Like, where could he go? I'm going to just assume that he stays with Arizona, and I'm going to put him in the running back 2. Yeah, running back 2. He's consistently their back, and he averaged 11 last year. He's just so consistent. I mean, he's putting up 10 points a game pretty much every night. And, I mean, he never does anything too big, but that's why he's in the running back 2, because they're just consistently there when you need them, and they're not going to disappoint you much. So I like that place for Kenyon Drake. Leonard Fournette. This one's tough because he literally went from almost getting cut, and he was on the practice squad, to making this huge playoff run where he seemed like the every down back almost instead of Ronald Jones. But he's another free agent that might be looking for big money elsewhere. I just don't know what he can give you. I mean, he put 7.74 last year, the regular season. I would say I'm going to put him in flex for now. He's not... Yeah, flex. Because you know what he's going to do. He's just going to power. Excuse me. He's going to try to wear you out. And I think it matters what scheme he goes to, because that Tampa Bay, they would run the ball heavy and then go off with the play action, help Tom Brady. And I don't think he's going to return to Tampa Bay. Maybe he does. But Tampa Bay has a lot more free agents that they need to prioritize. So I think not Ronald Jones. I think Leonard Fournette's good on the flex. That's a good flex option for you. You got Le'Veon Bell. I mean, he was just so disappointing. It's so hard, but I'm going to put him in this season-long free agents because he did nothing almost last year, and you really don't know what to expect. He's another free agent, and I don't know of any team that's just going to give him any money. So, I mean, he's going to be a backup somewhere, which is crazy because, like, 3 years ago, he was one of the best backs, if not the best back in the league. But now he's nearly out of the league almost, it seems like. Marlon Mack, another running back who was plagued with injuries last year. I don't think he's going to be back because of the emergence of Jonathan Taylor. I'm going to say, I mean, he's really good. He hardly played last year. Not even enough to qualify. I'm going to put him in flex just because we don't know he's going to be off that injury. But he's definitely worth a draft pick because he was he was probably almost a running back 1 potential. He was right in the year when he was the starter. But you don't know how he's going to be off that injury and where he's going to go, what situation he's going to be put in. But he's a really talented back, and he can do some things. Melvin Gordon. Philip Lindsay's a free agent. I'm putting him in running back. What did he average last year? He averaged 11. I'm going to put him in running back 2. He had a really quietly good year last year, splitting time with Philip Lindsay until Philip Lindsay got hurt, and then Melvin Gordon really took over. And he was top 10 in touchdowns for a little bit. He scored at least 1 touchdown a game, it seemed like, and he would get those touches, and he would have big games. But then he would also have not so good games. So he's kind of inconsistent, but he's probably going to average about 10. I would say at least 10, because he's just a few years ago he was one of the best backs in the league, in the Chargers. So it's not like that talent just disappeared. I think he was just splitting time with Philip Lindsay. It really hurt him, but he's good. He's gonna. I mean, I'm really debating on flex. No, I'm going to keep him running back 2. I like him there. He's going to get those touches, and especially if Philip Lindsay leaves, then he's going to have the backfield. Next up is Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders was trending so high going into last year, and just like nothing came out of it really. He averaged 12 last year. I mean, he's a good receiving back, but I just don't know how you can count on him really. I'm gonna put him in RB1 potential. Last year, he was like first pick potential, almost, or top 5 pick. But I'm gonna put him in running back 1 potential, but he's closest running back 2. I still think he's got that receiving ability to be a really dangerous back for you, but he is, with that offense, you don't really know who's gonna be at quarterback, and he's just not one of those guys you can just give the ball to on a 3-down basis. So I'm going to put him in running back 1, but he's right here. He's right next to RB2. Yeah, him and Chris Carson are really close. But next up, we got Naji Harris, the rookie out of Alabama. There's not a lot of backs in the league, like starting backs, that he's better than. I'd say he's definitely better than this. I mean, I'll just put him in here because I don't think he's better than any of these backs right now. Obviously, we haven't seen him play in the NFL yet, but he's a really big back that can also, he can catch the ball out of the backfield, but I don't know. The only way I could see him being really good is if he went to the Bills, who I see now that I did not put any Bills, it looks like, on this list, but that's my mistake. Should have put Singletary on here, but Naji Harris is going to stay in this flex just because you don't really know. I think he's worth a draft pick. I think rookies as a whole are always worth a draft pick. Like, the worst that happens is you drop them and pick up somebody else. And the best that happens, they could be like a Justin Jefferson from last year and just break out and be really good for you. Nick Chubb. Oh, man. Nick Chubb, 16 points last year. He was hurt. I don't know if he's up in this first pick potential. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back to Nick Chubb. He's tough. I'm gonna move him down here. Philip Lindsay, I'd say flex. I mean, he's good, but he was just hurt a lot of last year. You don't really know what he's gonna give you. And with the emergence of Melvin Gordon, he looks like if he stays in Denver, he'll be splitting carries again. Which, if he stays in Denver, I would probably move Melvin Gordon down to flex. But I just don't see Philip Lindsay coming back to Denver. Excuse me. So I'm going to keep Melvin Gordon there and put Philip Lindsay down there. There's not a lot of backs. I don't think there's a single back up in these, obviously not this, that he would start over. Maybe you make an argument for James Conner, but I think Philip Lindsay's just not consistent enough. He didn't get that many carries last year, so it's not really his fault. But I guess we'll see what he can do. Raheem Mostert. That 49ers offense is very run heavy, and he's coming back this year. I think he's really good. I'm going to put him in running back 2. He's obviously extremely fast. But seeing what he did last year, I mean, not last year, but the year before that in the playoffs, he just ran all over teams. And potentially, he's potentially up here. So I'm going to keep him at running back 2 for now. Next up, we have Ronald Jones. Next up, we got Ronald Jones. Yeah, it was 11 last year. I don't think he's flex. I think he's running back 2. Um, he's a better consistent back than Leonard Fournette. And he was really talented last year on that Tampa Bay team. And especially if Leonard Fournette leaves, then Ronald Jones is going to be that guy. And Tampa Bay really relies on the run to set up the play action. So I think Ronald Jones is going to average about 11 again, 11, 12. I mean, no, I like him here. He's not running back 1 potential. I was trying to convince myself there for a little bit, but Saquon. Saquon got hurt last year. The year before that, he was amazing. First pick potential. I don't know. You don't know how he's going to be off the injury. I mean, Saquon is a stud. If anyone's going to come back and be amazing, it's him. I'm going to come back to him too. This is tough. Him and Nick Chubb are super close. Sonny Michel. I think I'm gonna do him and Damian Harris together, just because I think they're pretty much the same. You're gonna get the same output from both of them. Not quite 10 points, maybe like 8 points, and on any given night they could give you 10, maybe. But just splitting the carries is tough. That's why it's tough to do Philip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon. You got the 2 Tampa Bay backs. But these guys look like they're both returning to New England, so we'll see what happens there. Tariq Cohen, he's a high-end. I think he's a high-end flex. Not quite on that running back 2. Especially with David Montgomery, because David Montgomery's going to get the touches. Tariq Cohen's more like that gadget guy that can just score a touchdown every once in a while. Have a big game, break off a big run, but I don't think he's consistent enough to be in that running back 2. I'd put him in flex. Is he worth a draft pick? I would say probably like a late round draft pick. But nothing. Definitely not before any. I would pick Cam Akers over him. I would pick Jamal Williams. I would pick Naji Harris over him. But yeah, I mean, it's not a ranking, but I was just explaining there. He's not season-long free agent. Somebody's going to have him on their roster. Somebody should have him on their roster. And he's just a big play guy. Jonathan Taylor, running back 1 potential. He averaged 14.5 last year. Just that power back that just gets those carries, man. Especially in that Colts system with Carson Wentz now. They're not going to rely on. I don't think they're going to just send him out, rely on him too much. He's got a year in the system, and he's just going to be super good. He turned up more last year in the later half, and I think that's going to translate very well to this year. Todd Gurley. I mean, what? He averaged 9 last year. He's not. I don't think he's going to be back in Atlanta. If anything, I could see the most likely thing for him to do is retire, honestly. So I'm gonna put him in season-long free agents. I would rather have any of these guys than Todd Gurley, I think. So sorry if you guys are Frank Gore fans, Todd Gurley fans, or Le'Veon Bell fans, but I just don't think they're worth a roster spot at this point in their careers. Travis Etienne. I like Travis Etienne a lot as a fantasy running back because he can catch the ball in the backfield. He can take a big play. He's got better speed than Naji Harris. I think he's more just set for that NFL back mold. If you were to compare him to someone, I would say Alvin Kamara. I'm not putting him up here, but Alvin Kamara and Travis Etienne are pretty similar. Have pretty similar type games. Obviously, Alvin Kamara is much better. But I'm going to put Travis Etienne in running back 2. I think any team that picks him is going to get him involved early. And he just has that versatility where he can line up anywhere and catch passes. He can run it, so he's going to be really good. Zeke, man, he averaged 11 last year. But Dak's coming back, so I'm going to put him in running back 1. He was disappointing last year, but the years before that, he was a top 5 guaranteed pick. So you can't give up on him off just 1 year. And I think he's going to come back better. Getting Dak back is going to focus more of the attention on the receivers in the pass game. And he's going to have more open lanes to run, even catch balls out of the backfield, and get involved that way. So I think he's going to be fine. Clyde started off the year really good, but kind of fell off towards late because they were figuring him out, it seemed like. I'd put him in flex. That Chiefs offense is just scoring so many points, but towards the end of the year they just couldn't run it. So I'm gonna put him in flex right now. Yeah, I would rather have any of these guys. Obviously, it depends on where Travis Etienne goes, but I think I'd still rather have every single one of these backs over Clyde at the moment. Back to Nick Chubb. When he came back from that injury, he was amazing. He's that downhill runner. I'm going to put him in running back 1. He's so close to that first pick potential, but he just doesn't have the dynamic versatility that some of these guys have. Not Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry doesn't have that much versatility either, but he's going to run everybody over, so it doesn't really matter. You can know he's getting the ball, and you can't really stop him. It's close to the same with Nick Chubb, but when you're splitting carries with a guy like Kareem Hunt, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to put up those big points. Saquon's going to be the last one to go in the first pick potential. I would still risk a top 5 pick on him. He is just so dynamic and so fast. Catch the ball in the backfield. He is that Giants offense, and you saw last year when he got hurt how much it affected that team. And he's just going to get relied on so hard. Daniel Jones is going to rely on him. They're going to hand it off to him. They're going to throw it to him in a screen. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns, and he's going to get a lot of touches. So we're for him. Deandre Swift last year, he was really good. Turned it up late towards the year. You saw that with a lot of rookies because they didn't have the training camp or any practice really at the beginning of the year to get to know that playbook and get a feel for it. So once they started to figure things out, they started doing a lot better. I'm going to put DeAndre Swift. I'm going to put him in. I'm actually going to switch this. I'm going to put J.K. Dobbins in running back 2. I'm going to put DeAndre Swift in running back 1. Because J.K. Dobbins didn't prove himself as much last year as DeAndre Swift did, as DeAndre Swift became that main back and really excelled. I had him on my team last year, and he was really good for me towards the end of the year, putting up 15, 16 points a game. David Johnson. Is he worth it? He's good. I'm going to put him in flex. I don't think there's a lot of explaining that has to be done there. He's okay. What did he average last year? Like 11? Yeah. 11 points. But, you might not even have Deshaun back. So, that offense is going to be terrible. I don't know. I see a lot of regression coming. I don't know why. But I don't really see David Johnson as being that good. Definitely not as good as anybody up here. So you could make an argument for him, for Melvin Gordon. but I think I think even these backs down here, a lot of them are better than him too. So Kareem Hunt, this one's tough because Nick Chubb's coming back. I'd put him in running back 2, just because of how good he is. He's gonna get some touchdowns because he gets those carries too when Nick Chubb is tired or something. Doesn't happen a lot, but he's obviously Kareem Hunt's a really good running back, and him and Nick Chubb are, I think, the best duo in the NFL running back wise. So they're gonna split carries. I'm gonna move him down. You just don't know how many carries he's gonna get, but that's not saying how talented he is. I think he's talented than I think he's more talented than all of these running backs, but he's not more talented than Nick Chubb. So that's why being on the same team as someone like that really hurts your stock in fantasy. But I think this is my list. Let me see if I need to make any more changes. I'm gonna move. Doesn't really make a difference, but I'm gonna move Nick Chubb up here just so it shows like he's right up there. Yeah. So let's say if you have one of these guys, you're set at the running back position pretty much. If you have one of these guys as your running back 1, you're solid. If you have these guys should be running back 2s. These shouldn't be the best backs on your team, and you need to do something to change that. Flex, waiver wire, these are guys that you just pick up or you draft to be in that flex. And then season long free agents. I think these are the only season long free agents. Part of me wants to put Sony Michel down here, but if I had to put Sony Michel down here, you'd have to put Damian Harris. So I think they're both okay. I mean, I guess we'll see week 1 who gets more of the touches, but this is my list. Thank you for watching. Next week will be wide receivers, so get excited for that. Leave a like, subscribe, follow my Twitter. It'll be in the description below. So thank you for watching.